right, there you go. Sorry, you guys came back when we're still having a cup of tea and some good banter, to be honest, with Isabella here. And her question has been, for how long have you had this job? That's the question she's asking me. So I'm telling her, when I stopped riding bikes, which she does now, I decided to be a TV presenter. But I'll quickly explain to you my CV later on in the show. Welcome aboard. This is the NTV Press Box. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. So you can do that on Twitter by sending us your thoughts or different reactions on the show. We're proudly powered by DSTV and we're live from the Kampala Serena Hotel. Now, let me quickly take you through the panel. We've made some tactical changes here and brought in a couple of players, dropped a few because of form. Asha and Mwangusha have had to step away from the team. I'll start off with the gentleman at the very extreme right for the guests. That is Alistair Blick. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Shall be jumping into your details very shortly. I'll jump the lady and come to the other lady here, Isabella Blick. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Are you excited to be here?
Yes.
Fantastic. And Professor Maggie Chigozi, who in many ways has a very long CV and has done so many things in the country, from business to sport as well. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
I think I'm going to ask you to have your microphone closer.
Good evening, viewers.
Thank you. I also start off by apologizing to you. We were supposed to have you on the show a couple of months ago, and it didn't happen. So we really apologize and thank you for coming to the show this time. Mark, I'll start off with you before I jump into our guests today. Big sporting families in this country, popular sporting families in this country. What comes to mind is the Blick family. What comes to your mind? And really, how competitive has this been, if there's anything like that?
Yeah, I've been thinking for the last 2 minutes. I was trying to recall which other sporting families in the country that we've had. There've been a few. I can say, for example, Sadio Nito, the golfer, the legendary golfer. You know, you had Renato Sebi and Charles Yokwe, the late Yokwe, those kids. They played tennis when they were kids, and then they switched to golf. They were very talented, those guys that came from Jinja. So that was a huge sporting family. I can think about the Enabus. You know, those kids all play basketball. Ivan and Jimmy, I think, perhaps the most famous. But all the brothers played basketball. They've played basketball. So it's one of those sporting families. Football has had many. You've had father-son like David Oboa and his dad, Dennis, the late, or say Paul Hasula and Geoffrey Higenyi, the brothers. But you've had, I was involved with a big family. Fred Tamale, the former Express and Uganda Cranes player. He had his brother Chigundu, his brother Tamale, and the young one Sally. When we played and won the Bikabi Yabaganda with Nchima in 1993, I was their teammate. But they were all playing in the league. Okay. So a huge family. But there have been so many that I can think of, but I don't think there's any that has achieved as much with as many people in as many sporting disciplines as the Blick family. It's got to be the #1 sporting family in Ugandan history. If there's any other, then I'd like to be challenged. Personally, I was in school with William Blick at SMAC. I was his sports prefect. He was one class below me, and he was the rugby man, the great rugger. And then, of course, after we left and went to Makerere and all, he was Rugby Player of the Year and all those things. And of course, I played with and against Norman. When he was very young, we were playing with Sky Jammers, and then eventually he moved teams. I was playing basketball in the league at the time with Blue Jackets and also playing with the national team. So I've rubbed shoulders with a few of those. But as a kid growing up, of course, I watched Paddy and Arthur. And when I think about the Blick family, I think talent, I think daring. Yeah. Whichever sport it is they're doing, they're daring, very, very daring people. William, I was with him very close at school and all, and he had a lot of heart. I mean, he went into some of the most monstrous tackles and did some of the most outrageous things on a rugby pitch. But then his dad and all the other guys, the other Blicks were actually using machines. They were just speed demons. It's been an amazing family, this one, yeah, but they will tell us about it.
Yeah, let's quickly come to our guests now, and I'll definitely start off with Professor Maggie. Please allow me to call you Maggie for the rest of the show.
Maggie's fine. Maggie's fine.
We have a very big young generation watching the show tonight, and they might not know about you in hockey, about you in squash, you in tennis as well. I think to quickly give us a feel of the family, if you could take us through your early days in sport. How do you get into sport, and where do you even get into sport?
My mother was a football player for her local team in our village of Buterere. My father was at Budo, played cricket, swimming. So he was actually into those two sports. And therefore, when we were growing up, we were really encouraged to take up sport. So primary school, you do all those little things people do. Then I went to Gayaza. I was lucky to be one of the few that go to Gayaza, where sports was really supported. So I was taught, the biggest thing I was taught there was tennis. And I think tennis made me. Tennis made me junior champion. Tennis made me ladies champion. But you know how life moves on. And also, while at school, we went to Kenya to play hockey for the junior team, and later on we joined the senior team. But maybe medical school sort of killed my tennis for a while, because medical school, you go to school until 7 p.m. So then I had to find something else. And President Amin brought us a Chinese table tennis coach. Oh, we were fantastic. So we learned how to play table tennis. You could play at night. You could play, you know, anytime, and that was great. So I did that, and then went back to tennis and then learned how to play. So I represented Uganda for those. Meanwhile, whenever my brothers were racing, and there was going, even when there was no woman, they really wanted me to race. But I was at medical school, so I was very busy. My Sunday is when I catch up with revision. It's really not the day I go off to Gulu to race. But whenever there was a visiting female rider, they didn't want to lose. So there was a Kenyan, she's coming, so you must ride. So they put pressure on me, and I did ride. I was very good because I had a bike, and I would ride to school and to university every day.
So it was more of pressure, because I'm reading some of your facts here. In the 1970s, you're the only female rider around. That's daring, but now I didn't know there was a bigger push from the family as well.
There was a bigger push, plus every day I went to school,
On
A
the bike.
levels, and I went to university on my bike. So that meant I was actually very good, because I practiced every day. So then when it came to the races, I didn't have a racing bike. Are you 99?
Yeah, I'm 4.
You are 4. Okay, there's a 99, which is Alpha, and so the 99, he would lend me his bike. We would just turn it around. So I was 66 on his bike, and yeah, I beat most of the men as well. Yeah.
And then that time gets done.
Yes.
Your career, you're coming to the evening of your career in the various sports disciplines.
Yes.
A few years later, you have now a family that is so diverse. I mean, look, it's past her bedtime, but she's here as a champion, 5-time champion in her own right. Now, what happens? Maggie, what happens? Do you go around inspiring these kids? Do these kids grow up watching their fathers? Do they have a different viewership somewhere where they say, I'm going to do? How does the entire family get this diversified in sport?
I think they have a lot of support in that, you know, the whole family is watching you, and we want you to do well. So already they have, and we are now a very big family. I just told you. My 5 brothers did a good job of having, you know, and we have grandchildren now. So these are my grandchildren. So, and then my nephews are still also, Arthur's still riding. So we have a lot of family support, and we are all there whenever they have an event. And I think that is encouraging.
But you're a medical doctor. I mean, can you say it's genetic as well? Is there anything like that? Are there sporting genes that are passed on to, down the generations?
Because, I mean, Maggie, look at my genes and my family.
Alien, you're not. Definitely they are. I think we have more daring. We are willing to take risks, and we take them all the time. It's actually not only on the sporting field. I mean, I'm working on the national dialogue now, and everybody says you're crazy. And I'm saying, okay, I'm crazy, but this is going to be done. Okay, so we are very daring, and we're strong. I think we're physically stronger. You should see this one do, what are they called? Jumping all over the place. So physically, we have, I guess, an advantage over most people. And I guess, I don't know, it probably takes a bit of intelligence to be able to do some of these things. We probably have that as well. And that's what it takes.
Let me speak to the youngsters now. And I'm going to ask you guys the most asked question. It's always the first question if any journalist is going to ask you. How did you get into sport? But I'll quickly start off with, how old are you now, Isabella?
I'm 10 years old.
You're 10. I can speak slightly louder for me?
I'm 10 years old.
10 years old. And what class are you riding now?
65.
So tell me, how do you start riding? Who told you to start riding? How did you get your first bike?
Well, actually, I just wanted to follow my grandparents and my dad and my uncle in the sports. They didn't actually tell me to go into the sport. I just wanted to.
I mean, she says the family is daring, but it's a very hard sport. You have to go through those corners, you have to fly, there will be a few falls here and there. Haven't you gone through trouble? Didn't you at some point say, maybe I should go and play netball and do something else?
Yes, yes. I've actually said that quite a few times, but I get used to the falling, and sometimes I don't make a lot of mistakes.
And having cousins around you that are almost the same age, how important has that been for you? Because you have to go and train with these guys. You have some banter after races with these guys. Just how important has it been? Because you're not alone.
It has been very important to me because we have a lot of fun while riding, and yes.
Okay, how quickly come to Alaista first of all? There is mini competition. Your brother's name?
Paddy.
Yes, because I've met both of you and I keep forgetting Paddy. How is he? Is he fine?
Yeah, he's recovering from his fracture in the ankle.
Fracture in the ankle. How much does that scare you? I mean, you're a youngster, you're brilliant at what you do, but how much have you had to look at that side of the sport? Because the last time I had a discussion with you was with your father, and he was talking about how expensive the sport is, but how he has to support these children to come through. So do you guys realize that? Do you realize your future is overly bright with the kind of family you have, but also how competitive is it at your age now?
Well, I also noticed the crashes, like my brother and my dad have gone through very nasty crashes, but I've avoided that part in my life in motocross. I've not really gone through all those bad crashes. I barely have fractures. I think I'm a survivor.
I mean, I also don't want to focus on that part. I mean, the most important part is you trying to win races out there. Do you know anything about her history in sport? Has she given you a pep talk before?
My parents have, and I've seen her on the news, on Google. So I've picked off the pieces.
Yeah, how about your I mean, her brothers were daredevils, if you like. Do you know anything about what those guys used to go through?
Yeah.
But I mean, how much has that inspired you? And how do you balance sport and books and the books? Because you're also under the pressure of a sporting family that has also achieved academically. How are you as kids going about this? Are you serious about school, for starters?
Well, I've had my ups and downs in school, but now we're trying to focus on both. Motocross used to be big during my young ages, and I used to be flawless through school, but high school has kind of taken a toll on me, so I'm trying to pick the pieces and put them back in the puzzle.
Okay, I want to ask Maggie a few more questions, but before we do that, let's quickly cross over, because earlier on in the day we caught up with Arthur and William Blick, and we asked them a couple of questions. First was about the family, also their own achievements and how hard it has been. Here they are.
As a parent, how does this feel? I mean, looking at this, your kids doing what you did, what your dad did, what your brothers and cousins are doing at this early age, what does this mean to you as a parent?
I think this is fantastic for us, for the Blick legacy. They're doing very well because they are doing better than we did when we were young. Already Isabella has won 5 national championships. William has won 2. That's better than I did. Arthur is on 10. My dad was on 5.
Actually, Arthur 11 now.
11
Arthur,
actually.
yeah.
Alistair, I think, is on 5. My uncle Arthur was, I think, on 5 as well. So these kids have done exceptionally well, and I think they will surpass the records that we have. And for sure, they will be much better riders than us.
On the show tonight, we have some super lady and someone who must be very special to you. Dr. Maggie Chigos is on the show tonight. What do you say to her? She's watching.
I think my aunt, indeed a super lady. One, I'll talk of her administrative skills. You've seen what she was able to do at the Investment Authority and in the different organizations she sits on. She's very commanding, she's very respectable, and she works very hard. I think that's part of the Blick legacy. In sports, you know, we cannot underestimate her. She was also very good on the bike, in tennis, in table tennis. She represented Uganda. She was the best in Africa. So I think it's not just sport that we have a legacy in. I think it's also in administration and other fields we decide to go in. So she is gifted, and she's very aspirational to some of us.
First of all, I think the racing spirit is in our blood. We Blicks are very highly competitive, and of course, all this I thank my good Lord Jesus Christ, because we are a Christian family, born again family, the entire family, and without God, without Jesus, nothing's possible. However, we are very passionate about racing, and when we do anything, we do it 100%. We go into it 100%. And we've learned from our parents. We've seen where the legacy started. They were champions in their days. My dad, my late uncle, my auntie, when they go race, I mean, she won the women's motorcycling races in that time. My dad won national championships, numerous ones, East African championships. My late uncle, Paddy Blick, won numerous championships. So, winning is in our blood. We go and we want to do everything 100%.
And Maggie is on the show tonight.
Wow.
Just what do you have to say? I mean, she's watching. What do you have to tell her?
Oh, I mean, in our family, we have people we look up to. And my Auntie Maggie is one of the people I look up to, and every one of us. I mean, her achievements are unmeasurable. She's a
the only lady driver in the 70s, is that true?
In the rider.
Rather, the lady rider in the 70s.
Exactly, yes. And she's played squash, tennis, numerous sports as well. So, I mean, her achievements in the business world, you know, that's also competition, you know. You go out there and you compete, not only in sports, but also in the business world. I mean, she's, her achievements are unmeasurable, and yeah, I'm proud that I am her nephew. Yeah.
Ah, man, there you go. Lots and lots of history coming through, lots of praises coming through for Maggie Chigozie as well. Later on in the show, we shall be speaking to a 7-year-old William Blick Jr., who, by the way, is a 2-time 50cc champion. So he'll be giving us his side of the story as well. Maggie, what I pick from this is, again, the versatility. They're doing various sports. And we shall talk about the ladies in sport later. But for now, do you give advice to these youngsters, or do you let them grow into what they want? And the reason I asked you that is because you have a son who has gone out and claimed he's a very good basketballer, which, like I said in the intro, is really an insult to Donald and Norman Blick. Brilliant rapper. He's on the show tonight. But he takes a different direction then from most of the other members in the family. At what point do you have to throw in the advice? At what point do people like Isabella make their own decisions?
As me, I always want them to do what they want to do, what they enjoy. So definitely Navio was very, very good at basketball. That was his favorite sport. Yes. But actually he could play cricket, he could play rugby, he could swim, surprisingly. He cannot swim. He looks terrible in the swimming pool, but he wins. Yes. Yeah, but maybe because he's so tall. Yeah, and he'll kill me for saying that. But it's true, because for him, he doesn't believe in coaching. Navio doesn't believe in coaching, unlike the others who, you know, do it like this. No, I already know how to do it. You leave me alone. And then, yeah, he goes off and he doesn't look very good. So yes, I gave them an opportunity, my own 3, because we were out of the country. We were not here when the Arthurs were growing. So they tried everything, and in the end zeroed in to what they wanted. My boy loved tennis. Freddie loves tennis. Navio loved basketball, and so they made their own choices. Michelle was medical school, again, made her too busy. once you go into medicine,
Yes.
you are likely to drop off sport and
see,
maybe come back to it a little later.
Just apologize. Max is going to come in very shortly, but you talk about having a medical career earlier on,
Yes.
and that disrupting
My
your
tennis.
sporting career.
No, my tennis.
Your tennis.
My
Your
tennis, yes.
But now here we are. We
Yes.
have youngsters who
Yes.
definitely are going to school.
Yes.
So you must be hard on them then.
Their fathers are hard on them, both of them.
Yeah.
You had them on a few minutes ago. Their dads, as grandma, I'm a little bit far away, and also I did move away from sport quite a bit. I am busy doing other things. That I love scouting, for example. I do a lot for scouting,
Yes, I've seen you
and
do
that's
that.
creating leaders. That's something I believe in. So yes, the parents have taken over. As a judge, I don't think I have much role here, except to be a role model.
Yes.
Yeah, so they know they would like to be like me. They would like to succeed. And they're encouraged to think success beyond sports.
Somebody watching out there might argue and say, you know, it's just because they're wealthy. They have money so they can buy this equipment. That's why they're all sportsmen and women and all. What would you say to that kind of person? How much of this sporting success over generations in one family has been actually about money? Or is it the secret formula something else?
It is actually not about money, because instead of having a house, which everyone else is building a house, you're buying a motorcycle. Yeah, and I saw my mother do that. I saw my mother fund the two boys and myself, my bike, the two boys, and try to get them a bike whenever they really needed one. Out of hard work, she would make clothes for everybody. She was a dressmaker. And my father would try, he was a government official, so he wasn't earning very much. But really, she kept the boys supplied. And it continues to date. They leave out something else. These sports are not cheap. A motorbike for easy, and she needs one. Otherwise, she can't ride. Maybe you'd rather start your house.
Yes.
So it is making choices. I don't think we're a particularly rich family. It's just, for us, sports is top of the list. And why is it top? We believe it is good for you. We truly believe it also helps you in the rest of your life. You compete, you are fair, because you don't like to lose when someone's cheated. So you are stronger. So sports teaches you many things, and we believe in them. So rather than have 1,000 houses, I have children who
A few
can do
bikes,
sport.
yes, that's right. Isabella, I'll quickly come to you. You have not said much on the show, so I'll actually ask you to say something now. Tell me about your career so far. What do you want to become? Because you must have dreams. You're already winning, but you must have dreams moving forward. Do you feel your dreams are on the motorbike or education? What do you want to become in the future? What are your dreams?
My dad wants me to. I'm going to go for education.
Pull the mic closer.
I'm going to go for my education in another school, and
That's it? But in motorsport, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve in the future? Do you have role models out there?
I'm not going to continue motorsport
Ooh, really? Why?
because I like to do other things.
You want to do other
Like
things?
what?
I like tennis.
Okay.
Yes.
Staying in sports. What else do you play?
I do every sport.
No, Isabella, no, you can't say that. List for me the sports you play.
I've done every sport.
Tell me. Let's go through them.
Okay. I've done swimming. I've
Swimming,
done
please
tennis.
speak louder a little bit. You've done swimming.
I've done swimming. I've done tennis. I've done golf. Badminton.
Gymnastics.
Yes.
And gymnastics.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
How do you netball?
Yes, I've done
The
netball.
thing about
I've
us
done football,
is
basketball.
you can do everything.
You can do everything.
You can do everything.
Mm.
So now it comes to them to decide what it is that you want to do. But there's no sport. There's nothing that is played with a ball that I cannot do, that I
Okay.
couldn't do when I was their age.
Maggie, I'll quickly come to you shortly to talk about the relevance of sport at this age for the kids. But I'll talk to Alesta now. What do you want to become? Because I know where you've reached now. I know a few things about your achievements. Where are you going next with the bike? Or are you also planning? Because I can see your figure now. You're planning to go into some rugby probably at some point.
Well, mostly motocross has been part of my life since I was 2. So I've grown up with motocross. So I think I'll continue with motocross. And I would like, and I think the motocross career, I would like to take it higher.
Okay.
Take it into the US. Like we have the 3 Hollands who have been up top in the USA, who have been riding there. So they've come back and now they are very fast at slaughtering us. So I also want to get to like keep up, to catch that pace.
And having a brother, how good has that been in terms of your competition? And is Papa hard on you guys?
Well, he wants us to, of course, push the hardest and win, basically. But when we have our losses, our downs, we fall in. Like my brother's broken, fractured. He doesn't. He always emphasizes on us trying to keep be focused on the track. So these crashes are due to being unfocused or something like that. Something goes wrong, or you're tired, so we try to evolve on repair those mistakes in our lives. Like my brother, he's usually he keeps up. Like he never. Sometimes he goes down with the injuries he has got. So when he goes down, he starts picking up. But then I don't know. I think he gets overexcited or something like that. Does something to try and keep up with us. Then it doesn't go well for him.
Maggie, you've been a national leader in so many ways in terms of what you've done for the country. It's funny that we are here discussing this with these 2 youngsters, and yet every day we also hear stories of parents who are beating up their kids for going to play sport in the evening. Yes. Whether that means they will delay, whether that means they'll come with a uniform dirty. But we also, when I was in school, we had a lot of PE. I don't see that much PE in most of the schools I go to. Sport at this level, you have evidence. Just how important is it, Maggie?
Oh, I think it's critical. I think it's very, very important that the children be allowed to do sports. They learn so much, they relax. Then when they come back to books, the mind is clear and they are ready to learn, and they learn more easily. Also physically, they will be less sick. They will be fitter, so by the end of the day, they are not as tired as the other kids who are not fit. So there are only advantages to sport. And I would encourage any parent out there to encourage their children, find out what it is that they like, and really make sure they are able to get it. For the girls, this world, and for the boys, is really a dangerous place. So if you can't get a sport like taekwondo, kickboxing, something like that, so that you can defend yourself. She does, of course she does. So that you can defend yourself. This world is a dangerous place for girls. So I make sure my girls are fit and they have some self-defense.
There you go. Shall I have a boat after this?
Now there's the bit, of course, expanding on, because like you say, you've diversified into administration and into all sorts of other things. So has William anyway, who's head of the Uganda Olympic Committee. There's a bigger message that I need for you to put out there for the women, as far as women are concerned, because I work for one of the more powerful, more inspiring women in the country. I work with Madame Allen Kajina, and you and her and a few women in that category of role models or people, inspiring figures. What do you say? How does one get there, and how do you inspire? Because I know I've got, it's past her bedtime, I've got a daughter out there who perhaps will look up to more to you than even me. What do you have to say? Women like you, how have you got there? You and Alan and the others, and what does it take?
Yes. One thing that it really takes is education.
Yeah.
I was lucky to end up being a medical doctor, and that is really helpful, as Alan has her degrees and whatever. So that is always helpful. They should take education seriously, but they should take sports. Sports really opens doors. Your networks, my squash friends, my golf friends, my motorcycle friends, they open doors for me.
Yes.
Wherever I go, they already know me, Maggie's coming in, and they're able to help. So those sporting networks are very, very useful. Then the other thing is to be yourself, know where you want to go, and never divert. Let people know who you are. Especially if you're a sports person, you end up being a brand. So I started being a brand, not at the UIA. I came with my brand as a tennis champion and as a motorcycle rider. I already had my brand. I just built onto the brand I got in sports to be the person that people think of now when they see me. Authentic. Be who you are. Yeah, I'm here in this one because I'm so proud of the cranes. And that's me.
Maggie, wait,
People will say, why aren't you wearing a smart suit? No, I am so proud of my people.
Being Ugandan, being the cranes.
Yes.
Does the girl child need an extra push in sport? Because we've talked about equality in everything.
Yes.
We rarely talk about sport. So I'm excited she's here. But you've been talking about this at many conferences for the girl child out there. Do they need an extra push, special attention?
They do, especially, and I think the parents. The parents, because our tradition as our culture was the girl is in the kitchen, the boys are playing football. How unfair is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to learn to cook, but so do the boys need to learn to cook. So you know, but I'm really proud now to see that the women are winning the trophies.
Yes.
Yeah, this shirt is going with the chic reigns, and they have been winners for the last so many years. So maybe I want to appeal to the media. Are you talking about our girls? You are not. Not enough. I think it's only this year that other people, I knew they were winning and I would tweet about it, but nobody would pick me up. But now, make them visible so that these young girls
should be on the back pages as well.
Oh,
Take up the back pages.
The front page. What are we doing in the back page?
Front page, okay, but tell me this. We've got a woman, the first lady of this country, is actually the Minister of Education and Sport.
Yes.
Have you been able to, for example, as you, I'm sure that you're connected, having been powerful and served in the country. No, served in the. Have you come up with any sort of advice for her and for sport generally? You also have William, who's part of sports administration in the country, on what they should do about improving sport in the country, from finances through administration and all. That's one. Two, has there been any move on the First Lady's part, for example, to get you women heroes of sport and all to be ambassadors or to be the faces of sport or to be the people that help pass on the message about the importance of this? I mean, I ask this because I think it's quite crucial. And if it's not being done, you should do something about it. So tell us right here, right now, if it's not being done, what you're going to do about it. You and the First Lady.
I think the First Lady is the minister, so it's her that we really expect to do this. I have really diverted off sports and I'm doing other things, which also keep me very busy. But to be an ambassador, I would love to be that. I would love to talk to young people's groups. But I think we have now moved in the right direction. It took getting the private sector to come on board. Now when I see, a few billion shillings being given to football from the private sector, and I remember we used to get 1 million at most. It may be a ticket if you are lucky to go somewhere. But when I see that kind of money, if we could also get our stadiums and be able to earn, I think that the challenge with sports, as we said earlier with this one, which is particularly expensive, but all the others are expensive. If you have to take the cranes to London, you need tickets. So 20 people, and they really are expensive. So it's the budget. We've been pushing for a budget. I am very pleased with what Billy William is able to do with the Olympic Committee. He has already moved in absolutely the right direction. A lot of training, a lot of management for associations, and I think that is what was lacking. I actually took over as chair of the swimming association at some point because it was such a disaster. Just really was. And now from me, they took over again, and it's brilliant. It's moving in the right direction.
Yes, it
so I
is.
think with you, young generation coming in, better educated, better able to manage, better management skills, the sky is the limit, really.
Sky is the limit.
The sky is the limit.
When you're having a discussion, she gave me a quick pep talk, and she wasn't happy with how I introduced William Blick Jr. at the beginning. She said you have to add the word junior.
Okay.
So let's quickly listen now to William Blick Jr. He's a 7-year-old and is a 2-time 50cc junior champion. Did I say it right? Oh, here he is.
Number 5.
Number 5, you are a defender. Okay, but I'm told you also score goals. How do you score goals, you're a defender?
Sometimes they pass to me.
Okay.
Sometimes then I shoot from far.
Oh.
Then I kick. Then it enters goal sometimes.
Okay, do you have a football club you support? Which one?
Juventus.
Oh, Juventus. I thought you'd say Man United, but it's okay.
All right, there you go. Is he a defender?
No.
Oh, he's very, very good, I must say.
Yeah.
Very, very fit, very, very strong, very fast. You just look at the little boy go dashing past and dashing back, and you go, William, what is it?
But you know, Maggie, for me here's the interesting part, because we can talk about a mother nurturing her kids a certain direction, buying the bikes, you know, but they must want. They must want to do this. But more interestingly, generational transfer of sport is not easy because it must keep growing. Is it even a challenge, or does this come normally or naturally for you?
I think it comes natural. I don't think anybody sat down and really pushed it. But because the skill, the talent is there to do any sport actually, in all of us, irrespective. You see the basketballers. Yeah. Yeah, no, they've done so well in basketball. My others do well in swimming. So we can do any sport. And it is just a matter of making the necessary equipment and time available. And parents who are supportive. Parents are always the ones who say, no, you have exams now, no sport. And then you really go down and you don't come back again. It's very difficult to come back if you go off totally because you have exams. But our family would not do that. They would still allow you to go and do your sports and know that you'll come back and be able to revise.
Okay. Do you have these big family reunions where, I mean, and how are they like? Is everybody coming in there showing off medals and things like that? And that reminds me actually, because as far as Blick Legacy is concerned, we know about it starting with you and your brothers, Paddy and Arthur. How far back does it stretch? Did you have great-grandparents who did these things and all? And was that here, or were they not Ugandan?
No. My grandfathers were not Ugandan.
No.
They were British. And then my parents, as I said earlier, were both very, very sporting. So that kick-started it. And they really supported sports in the family. How does it go?
Do you have these big family reunions?
We do.
When at Christmas or something?
Yes, we do. We meet every Christmas and every Easter as a family. We started off being about 10. We are now about over 100 with all the grandchildren and you know, the nephews now have wives, and so it's become a very big family. But we've always had too many trophies.
Yeah.
I would never.
Maggie, well done.
Absolutely.
Oh, Maggie, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on air and saying.
Showing off trophies
No,
and all.
would you
Okay.
show off your trophy? Absolutely. We have too many in
There
the
are so
house.
many.
We don't know where to put them.
Yes,
My
yes.
mother left a big box from her 2 boys. And then now they were earning others from golf and what have you. So their houses were full. Now I have them in my garage. When do I take them out to say, I am proud of this one? Absolutely never.
Alistair, when is your next event? When are you next in action?
Well, that would be, I think, end of this month.
End of this month.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
It's in Busika, the 9th round, the final round.
Tell me about your age group. Who are your biggest rivals in your age group? How competitive is it? I'm going to ask you the same as well. You want to tell me? Okay, I'm going to ask you the same. You're going to tell me. It's a TV show. Cameras are rolling. It kind of embarrasses you and I at home if you don't answer my questions. I'll come to you very shortly. Alisa, tell me, who are those children I don't want to say children, sportsmen, I don't want to say sportsmen, competitors?
Well, I've had a big rivalry with Ali Omar, yes, also known as Bobo. We've been going at it practically almost all of our lives since we joined motocross. So I think that's the biggest rivalry I've had since I joined motocross. It's been going on for quite numerous years, so I think that's the biggest rivalry.
And how has that gone?
It's gone
Who's winning?
well. Well, this year it's not been my best year, so he's taken it this year, but the previous year I took it.
Let me ask you, what happens when you lose a race? What does your father tell you when you lose a race?
Well, we go through why I lost the race and we try to look on how to improve on those little mistakes. So that's mainly the best way we can try to win the next race. If we pick the mistakes we made during this other race, like maybe this jump I didn't do it and Bobo did it and it really took a lot of time off me, then we would have to go back there and practice and do it. Then the next race I would come prepared.
And the last time I was at his garage, he was going through bikes, you know, twisting nuts here and there. How much of the mechanical part of a bike do you know? Can you repair something on a bike yourself? If you're in trouble on the track, would you sort your own bike?
Well, I'll need spanners, but it depends on how big it is. So I think I would repair like a flat tire. I just see it on YouTube and that's
So
it.
Pops is doing well to teach you that technical part as well. Isabella, my friend, here we go. Your biggest competition at your age, in your age group. Do you have an event coming up soon? Anytime soon? You?
Yes, I have.
Okay, which one is that? When is it?
End of the month.
End of the month. Tell me, are there girls that you really want to beat? That your biggest competition?
No.
You're
Like, who's that?
your champion in.
Yes.
All right, there you go. I think Isabella is not going to give us much at the moment, but Maggie is definitely the one going to give us. Maggie, I want to cross over to the social media side. I know what people are saying online, and then when they finish that, we shall come and ask you to wrap up the final few questions and advice. And I really want to hear advice as well from these two to the other youngsters out there. But we shall talk about women's sport as your final remark on the show tonight. We're live at the Kampala Serena Hotel. We are proudly powered by DSTV, and Joel Kamadi is sitting by.
Andrew, there's too much to consume. Just like Professor Maggie told us, the countless trophies they have in their cabinet that they don't even have space for. We have countless comments on social media, and of course I'm joined by none other than Andrew Mangusha here with me. I'll just go through a few, and I'll ask Andrew to share his thoughts. This is Mutabaniwa Kaimani. Jonathan, you say the Blick family is everything to envy about. Kefas Tendereza, you say Alistair laughs and smiles like the dad. Good one there. Sir Fabian Pavis, you say, you asked me, Joel Kamadi, is that family Ugandan for real? The passion for sport is unlike Ugandan. Andrew Mangusha, what can you say about the contribution that this Blick family has brought to Ugandan sport, has contributed to Ugandan sport?
I think the longevity in itself is legendary. You can't talk motor rally, you can't talk motocross without mentioning the Blicks. And listening to them speak clearly, you can see the love, straight from the soul. And for me, listening to Dr. Maggie, if she does not remind you of your mom, I think you need to get another mother. That's listening to her, the way she loves her grandkids, and definitely the way she got absorbed in all sports. She reminds me a bit of my mom. My mom is a Girl Guide. She led the Girl Scouts, and she also did ride a bike, but the bike without the engine. And she also played quite a lot of sports, netball, name it. So looking at her and listening to her, that's the kind of parent you want, a parent that pushes you, to do things beyond going to class and all. And of course, I did spend some time with Arthur just this week. Then I spent time with William Blick Senior, doing some training with Isabella and the junior. Yeah. And you just need to look straight in their face, and you'll see the love and commitment they have towards sport and their kids.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you and find out from you about. Of course, Navio will be joining us just in a few minutes, so the Blick legacy is still here. We still have you. You spent time with William and Arthur Jr. over the weekend, and I saw a picture of you and the video of you when he was showing you that wall where he takes very many pictures What's that about?
Basically, that wall, he was pointing to where the legacy, the Blick legacy, started. When there was his uncle, Paddy Blick, that's the dad to Paddy Blick Senior to Paddy Blick, the USC president. You know, everything is in there. And then also he was showing me his dad, Arthur Blick Jr., and of course, showed Dr. Maggie Chigozi getting some, one of those trophies, award, yes, the young Maggie. And of course, amazing, memories, captured in clips of the most daring man on two wheels, of course, talking Paddy and all. And that small office of his, which actually is located at Speedway, his garage, which is as old as his career, 2 decades. He did take me to the corner where there were trophies. Dr. Maggie just mentioned trophies, that there are 2 men at home. Now, I asked him whether that was all, and he said, well, they couldn't fit in the office, so lots of them are home. But looking at both Arthur and William speak, you clearly see people who are into sport for the love of sport, and they're that sport. I wrote an article about Arthur in 2015, how he lives, breathes, dances, sings, motorsport. And clearly when you meet them, that's what you see.
We have a comment here. It says, Blick family is wow. It really inspires me because in every sport you find there's a Blick. At first thought, I first thought they were in motorbikes but man, this family is kawa. I pray to Allah that I get such a family. Andrew Mongusha, this family, most of them started when they were 6, 7, 8. What were you doing at that age?
I was playing football. My records are not documented. I think because of the distance from here to where I grew.
If I tell you, I know they're not documented, but if I tell you us kicking mangoes in the village was playing football, that doesn't count.
No. Okay, I did kick mangoes and I progressed to the real football. And actually, if you came to my school looking for Andrew, you wouldn't get me until you said Ruud van Nistelrooy or Undercole, something like that. But basically, when you speak to Arthur and then you listen to him talk about the commitment, the family, because William and Arthur say they started at about 16. Now, these boys and girls are quite lucky. One, they're starting at an early age. William Blick Jr. started at 2.5. I'm sure about Isabel as well, 3, yes. Alistair. So these guys are starting with the family pushing them straight from. So actually, they have no excuse. And talking of which, William Blick Jr., you went about the football issue?
Are you surprised or are you disappointed that he said he supports, I know you support Manchester United, that he said he supports Juventus and not Manchester United?
But no, the good thing is I know where that's coming from because he moves with Ronaldo, just like I moved with LeBron James. So he moved, actually he deserted his dad. His dad was disappointed, but we couldn't, shoot again because he wanted him to say Chelsea. So he's like, you betrayed me, so you moved with Ronaldo. That's William Blick Jr. Now, there's some story about William Blick Jr. He, according to his dad, William Sr., he is better at football than motocross. We will have to find that out. He was playing with the Edgars and actually has big plans for him. He plans to move him to the UK in an academy when he's age 10. There's already someone who scouted and saw that actually his athleticism favors, football, and he wants to give it a try. He has nothing to lose. So he's focusing mainly on the football, and it's clear he's about commercial because with football, once you make it, it's quite, lucrative once it gets the returns. So perhaps we could get a superstar, international superstar in football, and he's aged 7 right now.
Fantastic. Just before I cross over back to Andrew, I'll just share a few comments and samples from social media on Twitter. In fact, Kangave John Paul, you say the Blick family is so inspirational. Just a typical example of how important sports is for our country. I want to raise my son in sports. And we have Albert Ahabwe, of course, says it's amazing how calm and articulate Alistair already is in front of cameras. The Blick family is a national treasure. One final one, Kefas Tendereza, you say the longevity is legendary. Andrew.
And before you go, Maggie mentioned something.
Yes.
For them, sport is number 1. Now that's kudos.
Fantastic. There you had it. That's what we could gather for you from social media, Andrew. It's back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Joel Kamadi. We really appreciate There's lots of reaction coming through. The hashtag is NTV Press Box. Keep those reactions coming through. Now we need to wrap up here, but as Kamadi and Andrew Mwangusha was speaking, Isabella came to me and said, I want to know, is Uncle Navio going to perform tonight? Well, I can confirm to you, he's going to perform tonight. And then she asked me, what song? I said, Saja ine nyimba nyingi. He has so many songs. He's going to decide on which song he'll be performing. But I want to ask you the final question. Young girl who does super, super well and wants to cross over to tennis now. Do you realize how big the future is for you? Like, what do you want to become?
Again.
I have many dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking again, but now generally, not sport. What do you want to become?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure yet?
No, I'm not sure.
Which is fine. Which is fine. All we are wishing and we are hoping is you continue with the sport, cross over to tennis, do fantastically well, and give it the very best you can, okay? Fantastic. Alastair, before I cross over to Professor Maggie, your advice, and I know you're rarely given this question, because really, but your advice to kids who are your age, youngsters who are your age, who want to get into motocross, but either are scared, because we talk about injuries and the competitiveness out there. But here you are, my friend, you're doing well over the years, and you're not quitting.
Well, I started at 2 years old, so you can imagine now it's not really as hard, or maybe they're afraid because of the crashes they've had, or bad crashes, but we don't crash all the time, like once in a while. It just happens. Bad luck sometimes.
Okay.
But that's what that gets. That's when you're at another level. But as you keep on, when you're beginning, it's very hard to have as hard crashes as we do. You'll maybe have a small crash. So that's very, to me, it would give me like peace to go and join the sport.
Okay. I want to ask Mark Sally for a final sporting comment about the Blick family, and then I'll ask Maggie something completely different. The discussions we've had, the history we've talked about.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I was Andrew Kabura of Blick.
No, the thing is, this is exactly what I was going to wrap up with.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I'll start by saying that, you know, last weekend when we had, last Monday when we had Stephen Omonj here, the basketball player, and I asked him if he was the GOAT, if he was the greatest of all time, and he couldn't commit and all. Because the only other person, and I've covered this for a very long time, and I was part of the sport as a player.
Yes.
The only other person who I know that can challenge him as greatest of all time in Ugandan basketball is Norman. For longevity, for achievement and everything, and for talent. Perhaps Norman is even a little more talented, but Steve has been perhaps more successful and dedicated and all. But in my summary was, because I asked her this question earlier in the show about genetics, if the genes are passed on down the line. And it's the only thing I can think of, and it's again also from the comments that have come from social media and all, is that if it's not too late for you like it is for me, just marry into the Blick family. I mean, to tap into this sporting family, into this sports success and all. I mean, to pick up on some of this, the dedication, the multi-talented, the diversification and everything, and the genes. Marry into the Blick family. So and unfortunately, it's too late for me.
It's too late for you. Yeah. I think it's too late for me as well.
Yeah, but I've got a son and daughter. So
right.
Golf.
Golf.
Yeah.
Tell me about golf.
Yeah, you can start now.
You can start playing now.
Yes, maybe you won't be Tiger Woods, but
you can get
some become very
not
good.
Maybe, certainly not. It won't be Tiger
Maggie,
Woods.
I want to thank you for coming and bringing the family here, but I want you to wrap up with what is keeping you busy now. Because you know about you at the Investment Authority, you know what you did there. You have private business, stuff keeps you busy. But let's talk about the dialogue that you've been talking about now. I think before we say bye, it's only fair you tell us, there's so many people who don't watch TV, who don't even know what is going on. What is the dialogue about, and how far has it reached?
Okay. We are the Elders of Uganda, Elders Forum, and the Interreligious Council, plus the political parties there, organizing groups, IPOD, ICF, and SEDU, and the women. We are organizing the national dialogue to give you, every Ugandan in this country, an opportunity to have your voice heard, in the things that are important to you. We've been around since 2016. We've moved around to ask what the problems are. And one of them is they're worried about our values. Ugandans seem to be doing things that they never used to do before. So where are our values, and how can we get them back? Diversity, can we celebrate the fact that you are from a different tribe, a different religion, but we are here as Ugandans enjoying our country together. So diversity in all its forms, let's celebrate it, rather than now begin to say, me, I'm this, and I'm better than you in that, and you know how that is. So diversity is the second one. We're looking at economic empowerment to be able to, ensure that nobody's left behind. No more poverty. So we have the rich at the moment appearing to get richer, the poor to get poorer, but how do we get everybody on to be able to benefit from the economy that's so rich here? The other one is resources. We have, you name it, Uganda has got it. We've got minerals, we've got oil, we've got agriculture, we've got land, we've got it. We've got educated, very educated people. But what do we do with this? How do we most benefit from all of it? Right, we feel at the moment we've left it to government, which is the norm. Are they doing a very good job? That's the question. Do you agree? Do you think there are more brains in Uganda that can be tapped to handle these things together? If we listen to more people, we have academia who are completely muzzled. Nobody here listens to academia apart from their students. So how do we get Ugandans to talk about these things that are so important? The other one is the political consensus. Are we happy? The Constitution was produced, supposed to be a very good one. We are multi-party. Is it working? Is it perfect? And I think the answer is clearly no. The parties need to be strengthened. They need to be listened to. They have lots of complaints. Can these be addressed? And we believe they're raising them now for us to address before the dialogue. We believe the dialogue is what will address.
So what's the structure of the dialogue? Are we going to get the feedback from the dialogue soon?
Well, first we are going to have the launch on the 21st of November. Okay. Then the dialogue itself. We have some work to do in between there, getting the views of the whole country, because we can't get everybody to sit in one room. Yes. There are too many. But we'll go around. And then by June, we will have their input, and we can then have the dialogue. Okay. And bring as many Ugandans, we can't have everyone, but representatives to come and give their views on all these very important issues that we are dealing with.
Professor Magichiguzi, thank you very much for coming to the Press Box tonight. And please keep watching the Press Box every Monday, 9:45. Alista, thank you very much. Isabella, I wish you all the best. Bedtime for you anytime from now. So thank you very much for coming to the show as well. Now, we are going for a break, but when we come back, his original plan was to become a brilliant basketballer. As time went on, he's now a brilliant lyricist. Navio is on the Press Box when we get back.